Injured Triceratops finds a human camp. What follows will melt your heart. How will this story unfold? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. The forest was unusually quiet as dusk approached. The usual sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves replaced by an uneasy stillness. A faint, rhythmic thud echoed through the dense woods, sending small creatures scurrying into their burrows. The source of the sound was an injured Triceratops, limping through the underbrush with labored breaths. Its massive frame cast long shadows under the canopy, and every step it took seemed to require immense effort. The Triceratops, a female with a chipped frill and scratches across her flank, had been separated from her herd earlier that day. A pack of predators had attacked, and though she had managed to fend them off, the effort had left her battered and alone. Her usually vibrant skin was dulled by streaks of dirt and dried blood, and her once mighty horns drooped slightly as exhaustion set in. In the distance, the soft glow of a campfire flickered through the trees. The Triceratops paused, her large, expressive eyes locking onto the light. It wasn't her herd, but it was something, a sign of life, perhaps even safety. Summoning the last of her strength, she began her slow march toward the source of the light. Meanwhile, at the camp, young Noah was tending to the fire, his face illuminated by its warm glow. At just 10 years old, Noah had an insatiable curiosity about the world around him, a trait that had only grown since he and his parents started their camping expedition. The family had traveled far to explore this remote forest, known for its lush beauty and rumored to be home to creatures long thought extinct. Noah's parents, Claire and David, were inside their tent, sorting through supplies for the next day's hike. Noah, however, was more interested in the world beyond the campfire's light. He poked at the flames with a stick, his imagination running wild with thoughts of what might be lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, a low, guttural groan broke the silence. Noah froze, his stick still in hand, as the sound grew louder. It wasn't like anything he had heard before. Not the howl of a wolf or the grunt of a bear. This was deeper, more resonant, and filled with an almost sorrowful quality. "Mom? Dad?" Noah called out, his voice tinged with both excitement and fear. Claire and David emerged from the tent, flashlights in hand. "What's wrong, Noah?" Claire asked, scanning the perimeter of the camp. "I heard something," Noah said, pointing toward the forest. "Over there." David exchanged a concerned glance with Claire before stepping closer to Noah. "Stay by the fire," he instructed, his voice firm but calm. "We'll check it out." As Claire and David ventured into the woods, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, the groans grew louder. They soon found themselves face to face with a sight they could hardly believe. A massive Triceratops, standing just a few yards away. The creature's eyes glistened with pain and exhaustion, and it let out another low groan as it struggled to remain upright. "David, is that?" Claire whispered, her voice trembling. "It's a dinosaur," David replied, his tone a mix of awe and disbelief. "A real, living dinosaur." The Triceratops took a hesitant step forward, and Claire instinctively raised her hand, as if to calm the creature. "It's hurt," she said, noticing the gashes along its side. "We need to help it." "Help it? Claire, this thing could crush us," David protested, though his voice lacked conviction. Despite his initial fear, he could see the desperation in the Triceratops's eyes. It wasn't a threat. It was seeking help. Back at the camp, Noah couldn't contain his curiosity. Ignoring his father's instructions, he grabbed a flashlight and followed the path his parents had taken. As he approached, the beam of his flashlight landed on the Triceratops, and his eyes widened in wonder. "It's beautiful," Noah whispered, stepping closer despite the size difference between them. The Triceratops turned its head toward him, its gaze soft and curious. For a moment, the fear and pain seemed to fade, replaced by a sense of connection. "Noah!" Claire exclaimed, rushing to her son's side. "I told you to stay by the fire." "But, Mom, look at her," Noah said, his voice filled with awe. "She needs us." David sighed, realizing there was no stopping his son's determination. "Fine," he said, "but we need to be careful. If we're going to help, we need to do it the right way." Together, the family worked to make the Triceratops as comfortable as possible. Claire retrieved the first aid kit from the tent, improvising bandages from strips of fabric to cover the creature's wounds. David fetched buckets of water from a nearby stream, which the Triceratops drank eagerly. Noah stayed by her side the entire time, his hand resting gently on her thick, leathery skin. As the night wore on, the Triceratops began to relax, her breath slowing and her posture becoming less tense. She let out a soft, almost contented rumble, a sound that resonated deep within the hearts of her human companions. "We'll call her Luna," Noah declared, stroking the Triceratops's flank. "She looks like the moon, big and strong but a little scratched up." Claire smiled, touched by her son's compassion. "Luna it is," she said, her voice filled with warmth. By morning, Luna was still at the camp, her massive form resting near the dying embers of the fire. The family had stayed up most of the night, taking turns keeping watch and ensuring she was comfortable. When the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, Luna stirred, her eyes reflecting a mixture of gratitude and determination. "She's trying to tell us something," Noah said, watching as Luna lifted her head and glanced toward the forest. "I think she wants us to follow her." "Follow her?" "Noah, we don't even know where she's going," David said, though his curiosity was clearly piqued. "She trusted us enough to come here," Claire pointed out. "The least we can do is trust her in return." After a quick breakfast, the family packed their supplies and prepared to follow Luna. The Triceratops moved slowly but purposefully, her injuries still evident but not as debilitating as the night before. Noah walked alongside her, his hand resting on her side for support, while Claire and David followed closely behind. The journey through the forest was both awe-inspiring and challenging. Luna led them through dense underbrush, across shallow streams, and over rocky terrain. Along the way, the family noticed signs of her herd, trampled vegetation, claw marks on trees, and distant calls that echoed through the woods. "She's trying to find her family," Claire realized, her heart aching for the injured Triceratops. She must have gotten separated during the attack. Noah's determination grew with each step. "We'll help her," he said firmly. "We'll bring her back to her herd." As the day wore on, the family grew more attuned to Luna's movements. She would occasionally pause, her ears twitching as if listening for something, before continuing on her path. It was clear she had a destination in mind, and the family was determined to help her reach it. By late afternoon, the group emerged into a clearing, where the forest gave way to a wide, open plain. In the distance, a herd of Triceratops grazed peacefully, their massive forms silhouetted against the setting sun. Luna let out a deep, resonant call, her voice carrying across the plain. The herd responded almost immediately, their heads turning in unison toward the sound. A few of them began to approach, their movements cautious but curious. Among them was a young Triceratops, its smaller frame suggesting it was only a few months old. The young one broke into a run, rushing toward Luna with a high-pitched cry. "She's her baby," Claire said, her voice choked with emotion. "She's been trying to get back to her baby." Noah watched with tears in his eyes as the two Triceratops reunited, their bodies pressing together in a display of affection. The herd soon surrounded them, creating a protective circle as if to welcome Luna back into their fold. The family stood on the edge of the clearing, watching in awe as Luna was welcomed back into her herd. The younger Triceratops, who Noah nicknamed Star because of the bright patch on her frill, remained close to Luna's side, nuzzling her affectionately. It was clear that Star had missed her mother deeply, and their reunion was nothing short of heartwarming. "I can't believe we were part of this," Claire said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We actually helped a dinosaur find her family." David nodded, still processing the magnitude of what they had just witnessed. "It's like something out of a dream," he said, "but it's real." Noah, however, wasn't content to stay on the sidelines. He stepped closer to the herd, his movements slow and deliberate so as not to startle them. "Hi, Star," he said softly, extending his hand. The young Triceratops tilted her head curiously before taking a cautious step forward. To everyone's amazement, Star leaned into Noah's outstretched hand, allowing him to touch her frill. Her skin was warm and slightly rough, but Noah could feel the energy and life coursing through her. "You're beautiful," he whispered, his face lighting up with joy. Luna watched the interaction closely, her eyes reflecting a mixture of trust and gratitude. It was as if she understood that Noah and his family had been instrumental in reuniting her with her herd. The peaceful moment was interrupted by a sudden rustling in the nearby bushes. The herd immediately became alert, their heads snapping toward the sound. Luna positioned herself in front of Star, her horns lowered in a defensive stance. The other Triceratops followed suit, creating a protective wall around the younger members of the herd. "What's going on?" Noah asked, his voice trembling with both fear and excitement. "Stay back," David instructed, pulling Noah closer to him. "Something's out there." The rustling grew louder, and a moment later, a pack of raptors emerged from the underbrush. Their sleek, agile forms moved with predatory precision, their sharp claws gleaming in the fading sunlight. There were 5 of them in total, their eyes fixed on the herd with a predatory gleam. "No," Claire breathed, instinctively stepping closer to Noah. "They're hunting." The lead raptor let out a high-pitched screech, and the pack began to spread out, attempting to flank the herd. The Triceratops held their ground, their horns and sheer size serving as a formidable defense. But it was clear that the raptors were experienced hunters, and they were looking for a weak point. David pulled Noah and Claire further back, his eyes scanning the area for anything they could use as a defense. "We need to help them," he said, his voice firm. "If the raptors break through, they'll go for the young ones." "But how?" Claire asked, her voice trembling. "We don't have weapons and they're too fast." Noah's eyes darted around the clearing, searching for inspiration. His gaze landed on a fallen tree limb, thick and sturdy enough to be used as a makeshift club. Without hesitation, he grabbed it and ran toward the herd. "Noah, wait!" Claire called out, her heart pounding with fear. But Noah was already in motion. He reached Luna's side, brandishing the branch like a weapon. "We're not letting them hurt you," he said firmly, his voice filled with determination. Luna glanced at him, her eyes filled with what could only be described as understanding. She let out a low rumble, as if to say she trusted him. The lead raptor lunged forward, testing the herd's defenses. One of the larger Triceratops charged, its horns narrowly missing the predator. The raptor darted back, but the attack served its purpose. It had distracted the herd long enough for another raptor to sneak closer to Star. "Look out!" Noah shouted, swinging the branch with all his might. The raptor hissed and backed off, clearly surprised by the human's interference. David and Claire joined the fray, grabbing rocks and sticks to help fend off the attackers. The raptors, though fierce, seemed hesitant to fully commit to the fight. The presence of the humans had disrupted their usual tactics, and they were struggling to adapt. Realizing their advantage, the family worked together to drive the raptors back. David threw a large rock at the lead raptor, hitting it squarely in the side. The predator let out an angry screech and retreated into the bushes, followed closely by the rest of the pack. As the forest grew quiet once more, the herd began to relax, their defensive stances softening. Luna let out a low, rumbling call, as if to thank the humans for their help. Star nuzzled Noah's side, her gratitude evident in her affectionate gestures. "We did it," Noah said, his voice filled with relief. "We actually helped them." Claire knelt beside him, pulling him into a tight hug. "You were so brave," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "I'm so proud of you." David placed a hand on Noah's shoulder, his expression a mixture of pride and concern. "But you need to be careful," he said. "That was dangerous." "I know," Noah admitted, "but I couldn't just stand by and let them get hurt." The herd began to move again, Luna leading the way with Star at her side. It was clear that they were heading to a safer location, one where they could regroup and recover from the ordeal. Luna paused for a moment, turning to look at the family one last time. Her eyes locked onto Noah's, and she let out a soft rumble. "She's saying thank you," Noah said, his voice filled with awe. Claire and David exchanged a glance, both deeply moved by the moment. "And we're saying thank you too," Claire said softly, "for trusting us." As the herd disappeared into the distance, the family stood in silence, reflecting on the incredible experience they had just shared. It wasn't just about helping Luna and Star. It was about the bond they had formed, a connection that transcended species and spoke to the universal power of kindness and compassion. As they made their way back to the camp, Noah couldn't stop talking about the adventure. "Do you think we'll see them again?" he asked, his eyes shining with excitement. Claire smiled, her heart swelling with love for her son. "Maybe," she said, "but even if we don't, we'll always have this memory." David nodded, his expression thoughtful. "And who knows? Maybe this is just the beginning of something bigger." Noah's mind raced with possibilities, his imagination running wild. He couldn't wait to share the story with his friends, to tell them about the brave Triceratops named Luna and her spirited daughter, Star. That night, as they sat by the campfire, the family reflected on the day's events. The fire crackled softly, casting warm light on their faces. Noah sketched pictures of Luna and Star in his notebook, determined to capture every detail of their encounter. Claire and David watched him with pride, marveling at his resilience and courage. "He's got a big heart," David said, his voice filled with admiration. "Just like Luna," Claire nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "And he's going to do great things," she said. "I just know it." As the stars blanketed the night sky, Noah lay in his sleeping bag, gazing at the twinkling lights above. His mind raced with images of Luna and Star, the fierce raptors, and the bond he had felt with the Triceratops. Sleep eluded him as he replayed the day's events over and over. It wasn't just the adventure that left an impression. It was the overwhelming sense of purpose and connection that stirred something deep within him. Unable to stay still, Noah slipped out of the tent and quietly approached the now-dying campfire. He added a few sticks to the embers, watching the flames reignite and dance in the cool night air. In the silence, he could almost hear Luna's soft rumble echoing in his memory. "Can't sleep." David's voice broke the quiet, startling Noah. Noah turned to see his father standing nearby, his hands in his jacket pockets. "Yeah," he admitted. "I can't stop thinking about them." David sat down beside him, the firelight reflecting in his thoughtful eyes. "It's hard to let go of something that big," he said. "What we saw today, it's not something many people will ever experience. Do you think they'll be okay?" Noah asked, his voice filled with both hope and worry. "The raptors might come back." David placed a reassuring hand on Noah's shoulder. "Luna and her herd are strong," he said. "And they're together now. That's what matters." Noah nodded, though a part of him still felt a longing to see them again. "I just wish I could do more," he murmured. The next morning, the family packed up their campsite, preparing to continue their journey. As they loaded their gear into their backpacks, Claire noticed Noah lingering by the edge of the clearing, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Do you want to leave them a sign?" she asked, approaching him. "A sign?" Noah turned to her, curious. Claire nodded. "Something to let them know we're thinking of them. It might make you feel better." Noah's face lit up with the idea. "Can we? What kind of sign?" "Maybe something simple," Claire suggested. "A pile of stones, or a symbol drawn in the dirt." Noah immediately set to work, gathering stones of various shapes and sizes. Parents' help, he arranged them in a pattern that resembled a Triceratops footprint, complete with 3 distinct toes. When they were finished, he stepped back to admire their creation. "Do you think they'll understand?" he asked, his voice tinged with hope. "I think they'll feel it," Claire said, placing a hand on his shoulder. Sometimes, gestures like this speak louder than words. The family set off through the forest, their path winding through dense vegetation and dappled sunlight. Noah couldn't help but keep an eye out for any sign of Luna or her herd, though the forest remained quiet. The only sounds were the chirping of birds and the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze. As they hiked, Claire began to share stories about the other adventures they had planned for their trip, exploring hidden caves, visiting waterfalls, and documenting the unique wildlife they encountered. Though Noah listened, his mind continued to drift back to the Triceratops. "I know what you're thinking," Claire said with a knowing smile. Noah looked up at her, surprised. "You do," she nodded. "You're thinking about Luna and Star. You're wondering if you'll ever see them again." Noah's face flushed, but he nodded. I feel like we were meant to meet them, like it wasn't an accident." Claire's smile widened. "Maybe it wasn't. Sometimes the universe has a way of bringing people or creatures together for a reason." As the day stretched on, the family reached a rocky outcrop that offered a stunning view of the valley below. They stopped to rest, taking in the breathtaking scenery. From their vantage point, they could see herds of herbivores grazing in the distance, their massive forms dotting the landscape like something out of a prehistoric painting. Noah's eyes scanned the horizon, searching for any sign of Luna's distinctive frill. Though he didn't see her, the sight of the other dinosaurs filled him with a renewed sense of wonder. "This place is amazing," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It really is," David agreed, taking a sip from his water bottle. "It's like stepping back in time." Noah turned to his father, his expression thoughtful. "Do you think we'll ever tell people about what we saw? About Luna and Star?" David hesitated, his gaze drifting to Claire. "I don't know," he admitted. "If we do, we'd have to be careful. People might not understand, and we don't want to put the dinosaurs in danger." Claire nodded in agreement. "Some things are better left as secrets," she said. "At least for now." As they continued their hike, the family stumbled upon an ancient, weathered structure partially hidden by vines. It appeared to be the remains of a stone archway, its carvings worn but still faintly visible. Noah's curiosity was immediately piqued, and he approached the structure with wide eyes. "What is this?" he asked, running his fingers over the carvings. "It looks like it might be from an ancient civilization," Claire said, examining the symbols closely. "Maybe the people who lived here long before us." David joined them, his brow furrowed in thought. "Do you think it's connected to the dinosaurs?" he asked. "It's possible," Claire replied. "If they coexisted, the people might have seen the dinosaurs as sacred or significant." Noah's mind raced with possibilities. "Do you think Luna's herd knows about this place? Maybe it's special to them." "It could be," Claire said, her voice filled with intrigue. "We should document it. It might help us understand more about this area." As they explored the site, Noah discovered a small, smooth stone etched with a symbol that resembled a triceratops. He held it up to his parents, his excitement evident. "Look, do you think this belonged to someone who knew about Luna?" Claire took the stone, her expression one of wonder. "It's possible," she said. "This might be a piece of history, a connection to the past." Noah clutched the stone tightly, feeling its weight in his hand. It was more than just a relic. It was a reminder of the bond he had formed with Luna and Star. "We should leave something here too," he said, "for whoever comes next." The family worked together to arrange another Triceratops footprint nearby, using stones and sticks to recreate the shape. When they were finished, they stepped back to admire their work. "Do you think Luna will find it?" Noah asked. "Maybe," Claire said with a smile. "And even if she doesn't, someone will. And they'll know that we cared." As the sun began to set, casting the forest in shades of gold and orange, the family made their way back to their camp. It felt lighter, as if the day's discoveries had given him a sense of closure. That night, as he lay in his sleeping bag, he held the etched stone close to his chest. The fire crackled softly outside, its warmth filling the tent. For the first time since meeting Luna, Noah felt a sense of peace. "We'll see you again," he whispered, his eyes drifting closed. "I just know it." The following morning, the family awoke to the sound of birds chirping and the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. The air was crisp and refreshing, carrying the earthy scent of the forest. Noah felt a renewed sense of energy as he stretched and stepped out of the tent, eager to see what new adventures awaited. David was already up, boiling water for coffee. "Ready for another day, champ?" he asked with a smile. Noah nodded enthusiastically. What's the plan? Are we going to explore more? We thought we'd follow the river trail, Claire said, stepping out of the tent and tying her hair back. It should lead us to some waterfalls. Maybe we'll find more interesting things along the way. Noah's mind raced with possibilities. The forest seemed to hold endless secrets, and he couldn't shake the feeling that Luna and her herd were somehow connected to it all. Do you think we might see more dinosaurs? He asked, his voice tinged with hope. Anything's possible, David said with a grin. This place seems full of surprises. As they packed up their campsite and set off along the river trail, Noah couldn't help but keep his eyes peeled for any sign of the Triceratops herd. The path wound through dense foliage, the sound of rushing water growing with each step. The river sparkled in the sunlight, its surface dotted with ripples from fish and dragonflies. Noah was the first to spot the waterfall, its cascading water creating a shimmering curtain that seemed almost magical. Wow, he breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. It's beautiful. The family paused to take in the sight, the roar of the waterfall drowning out all other sounds. Claire pulled out her camera, snapping photos of the scene while David set up a small picnic area by the water's edge. Noah wandered closer to the waterfall, his curiosity drawing him to the pool at its base. The water was cool and clear, and he could see small fish darting beneath the surface. As he crouched to get a better look, he noticed something glinting in the sunlight. A smooth, round object half buried in the sand. "What's that?" he murmured, reaching down to pick it up. His fingers closed around the object, and he pulled it free, revealing a large, iridescent egg. "Mom, Dad, come look at this," Noah called, holding up the egg. Claire and David hurried over, their expressions shifting from curiosity to astonishment as they saw what Noah had found. "Is that an egg?" Claire asked, her voice filled with disbelief. "It looks like it," Noah said, cradling the egg carefully. Its surface shimmered with hues of blue and green, almost as if it were glowing. "Do you think it's a dinosaur egg?" "It's possible," David said, examining the egg closely. "But if it is, it's probably been here for a while. It doesn't look damaged, though." Noah's heart raced with excitement. The idea of holding a dinosaur egg felt like something out of a dream. "What should we do with it?" he asked. Claire hesitated, her gaze flicking between the egg and the waterfall. "We can't just leave it here," she said. "If it is a dinosaur egg, it could be important. But we also don't want to disrupt the natural environment. Maybe we could take it to someone who studies dinosaurs," Noah suggested. "Like a scientist?" David nodded thoughtfully. "That might be the best option. But for now, let's keep it safe until we figure out what to do." The family continued their hike, Noah carrying the egg carefully in a makeshift sling made from his jacket. He couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility for the egg, as if it were a precious treasure entrusted to him. As they followed the river, the forest grew denser, the trees towering above them like ancient sentinels. The air was filled with the sounds of rustling leaves, chirping birds, and the occasional distant roar of a dinosaur. Noah's thoughts kept returning to Luna and Star. He wondered if the egg could be connected to them somehow, if it belonged to their herd or another group of dinosaurs. The possibility filled him with both excitement and a sense of duty. The trail eventually led them to a clearing, where they decided to set up camp for the night. The clearing was surrounded by tall grass and dotted with wildflowers, creating a peaceful and picturesque setting. Noah placed the egg gently on a soft bed of moss, making sure it was secure. As they ate dinner around the campfire, Noah couldn't resist sharing his thoughts with his parents. "Do you think Luna would recognize the egg?" he asked. Claire smiled. "Maybe," she said. "Dinosaurs are known to be very protective of their young. If it does belong to her herd, she'd probably be able to tell." Noah's eyes lit up. "Then maybe we should try to find her again. If the egg belongs to her, she deserves to have it back." David considered this for a moment. "It's not a bad idea," he said, "but it won't be easy. We don't know where her herd is right now. We could follow the same path we took before," Noah suggested. "Maybe they're still in the area." Claire and David exchanged a glance, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity. "We'll think about it," Claire said. "For now, let's focus on getting some rest." That night, as the fire crackled and the stars shone brightly above, Noah lay awake, his thoughts consumed by the egg and the Triceratops. He couldn't shake the feeling that their story wasn't over, that there was still something he needed to do. Clutching the stone with the Triceratops symbol, he whispered a silent promise to Luna and Star. "I'll find you again," he said, "and I'll make sure this egg is safe." With that, he closed his eyes, allowing the soothing sounds of the forest to lull him to sleep. The morning arrived with a golden glow streaming through the dense canopy of trees, casting dappled patterns on the forest floor. The family awoke to the sound of chirping birds and the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. Noah was the first to rise, drawn by the sight of the mysterious egg that rested securely on its mossy bed. Its surface shimmered in the sunlight, reflecting hues of blue and green. He gently ran his fingers over its smooth exterior, marveling at its beauty. The egg felt warm to the touch, as if it contained a life waiting to emerge. "You're going to be okay," Noah whispered softly. "I'll make sure of it." As Claire and David joined him, they noticed the intensity in Noah's gaze. "Still thinking about finding Luna's herd?" David asked. Noah nodded, determination etched across his face. "I have to try. If this egg belongs to them, they need to have it back." Claire crouched down beside him, her expression tender. "It's a big responsibility, Noah. But if you're sure about this, we'll do everything we can to help." Noah's eyes lit up. "You mean it?" David smiled. "Of course. Family sticks together." After a quick breakfast, they packed their belongings and prepared to backtrack along the trail they had taken before. The forest seemed alive with possibilities, every sound and movement a potential clue to Luna's whereabouts. Noah carried the egg carefully in its makeshift sling, his heart racing with anticipation. As they trekked through the dense foliage, Noah's eyes darted around, searching for any sign of the Triceratops herd. The memory of Luna's gentle presence and Star's playful curiosity filled him with hope. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were closer than they realized. Hours passed, and the family pressed on, navigating the uneven terrain with determination. The sun climbed higher in the sky, its rays filtering through the trees and illuminating their path. Just as Noah began to worry they might never find the herd, a distant rumble caught his attention. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, his voice tinged with excitement. Claire and David paused, listening intently. The rumble came again, louder this time, a deep, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through the ground. It was unmistakable. "It's them," Noah said, his heart pounding. "It has to be." They followed the sound, moving cautiously through the forest. The rumble grew louder with each step, accompanied by the rustling of leaves and the occasional thud of heavy footsteps. As they emerged into a clearing, Noah's breath caught in his throat. There they were, Luna and her herd, grazing peacefully in the meadow. The sight of the majestic creatures filled Noah with a sense of awe and relief. He spotted Star near the edge of the group, her small frill gleaming in the sunlight as she playfully nudged a patch of wildflowers. Noah's heart swelled with emotion. "Luna!" he called out, his voice carrying across the clearing. The Triceratops lifted her massive head, her eyes locking onto Noah. For a moment, there was silence, the air thick with anticipation. Then, with a deep, rumbling call, Luna began to approach, her movements slow and deliberate. Noah stepped forward, holding the egg out for her to see. "I think this belongs to you," he said softly. Luna stopped just a few feet away, her massive form towering over Noah. She lowered her head, her nostrils flaring as she examined the egg. Her warm breath washed over him, carrying the scent of grass and earth. Star trotted over, her curiosity piqued by the scene unfolding before her. As Luna gently nudged the egg with her snout, a deep, resonant rumble emanated from her chest. It was a sound of recognition, of gratitude. Noah felt a wave of relief wash over him, knowing he had done the right thing. Star let out a high-pitched trill, her excitement evident as she circled the egg. Luna's gaze shifted to Noah, her eyes filled with an almost human-like warmth. She lowered her head further, as if to thank him. "You're welcome," Noah said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Take care of it." The family watched in awe as Luna carefully scooped the egg into a nest of soft grass, her movements gentle and deliberate. The rest of the herd gathered around, their presence creating a protective circle around the precious egg. It was a sight that left Noah and his parents speechless, a moment of pure connection between humans and dinosaurs. As they prepared to leave, Noah turned to Luna one last time. "Goodbye, Luna," he said. "And thank you for everything." Luna let out a low, rumbling call, her gaze fixed on Noah as if to say goodbye. Star chirped playfully, her tail swishing as she watched the family retreat into the forest. The journey back to their campsite was filled with a sense of fulfillment and peace. Noah couldn't stop smiling, the memory of Luna and Star etched firmly in his mind. He felt a deeper connection to the world around him, a newfound appreciation for the delicate balance of life. That evening, as they sat around the campfire, Claire spoke softly. "What we witnessed today, it's something we'll carry with us forever." David nodded. "It's a reminder of how much we still have to learn about this world, and how important it is to protect it." Noah stared into the flames, his heart full. "Do you think they'll be okay?" he asked. "I think they will," Claire said with a reassuring smile. "And so will we." The next morning, the family packed up their belongings and began the journey home. The forest seemed to bid them farewell, the rustling leaves and chirping birds creating a symphony of sound. As they stepped onto the main trail, Noah turned back one last time, his gaze lingering on the path that led to Luna and her herd. "We'll see them again someday," he said, more to himself than anyone else. "I just know it." With that, they set off, the memories of their adventure carried with them like a treasure. Noah knew that his life had been forever changed by the experience, that he had been part of something truly extraordinary. The family's journey back to civilization was bittersweet. Each step away from the forest felt like leaving a piece of themselves behind. Yet, the experience had left them with a sense of fulfillment and wonder that outweighed the sadness of departure. As they reached the edge of the forest, Noah couldn't resist looking back one last time. The dense canopy of trees seemed to shimmer in the morning light, as if bidding them farewell. He clutched the small stone with the Triceratops engraving, a tangible reminder of the incredible bond he had formed with Luna and Star. "I'm going to miss them," Noah said softly, his voice tinged with emotion. Claire placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "I think they'll miss you too," she said. "But you gave them something special, Noah. You gave them hope." David nodded in agreement. "And you learned something important about yourself, too. You're braver and stronger than you realize." Noah smiled, their words filling him with pride. He felt as though he had grown in ways he couldn't fully describe, as though the forest had awakened something within him. The drive home was filled with conversation about their adventure. The family marveled at the sights they had seen, from the breathtaking landscapes to the majestic dinosaurs. Noah recounted every detail of his encounters with Luna and Star, his excitement contagious. As they passed through small towns and winding roads, the familiarity of civilization began to take hold. But Noah found himself longing for the simplicity and wonder of the forest. He realized that it wasn't just the dinosaurs he missed. It was the sense of connection to the world around him, the feeling of being part of something greater. When they finally arrived home, the comfort of their house felt strange and unfamiliar. Noah's room, once a sanctuary of toys and books, now seemed small compared to the vastness of the forest. Yet, he found solace in the memories he had made and the lessons he had learned. Over the following weeks, Noah couldn't stop thinking about Luna and Star. He often found himself sketching the Triceratops in his notebook, his drawings capturing the gentle strength and playful spirit of his prehistoric friends. He even started a journal, documenting every moment of their journey in vivid detail. One evening, as the family gathered around the dinner table, Noah hesitated before speaking. "Do you think we'll ever go back?" he asked, his voice filled with hope. Claire and David exchanged a glance, their expressions thoughtful. "Maybe," Claire said. "But even if we don't, the memories we made will always be with us." David nodded. "And who knows? Maybe Luna and Star will find their way back to us someday. The idea filled Noah with a sense of anticipation. He couldn't shake the feeling that their story wasn't over, that the bond they had formed was too strong to be confined to a single chapter. Months passed, and life returned to its usual rhythm. But Noah found ways to keep the spirit of their adventure alive. He joined a local nature club, spending weekends exploring nearby parks and forests. He also became passionate about wildlife conservation, eager to protect the natural world and the creatures that called it home. One day, while browsing the local library, Noah stumbled upon a book about dinosaurs. The cover featured a striking illustration of a Triceratops, its frill adorned with vibrant patterns. He couldn't resist checking it out, eager to learn more about the creatures that had captured his heart. As he flipped through the pages, he was struck by the similarities between the illustrations and his memories of Luna and Star. The book described Triceratops as intelligent and social animals, known for their strong family bonds and protective nature. Noah smiled, the words reinforcing everything he had experienced. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when Noah received an unexpected letter in the mail. The envelope was addressed to the family, with a return address from a nearby wildlife research center. Inside was a handwritten note, thanking them for their report about the dinosaur sightings and the egg they had discovered. The note explained that the research center had been studying the area for years, searching for evidence of prehistoric creatures. Their findings suggested that the forest was a unique ecosystem, home to a rare population of dinosaurs that had somehow survived through the ages. The letter ended with an invitation for the family to visit the research center and share their story. Noah's heart raced with excitement as he read the words aloud to his parents. "Can we go?" he asked eagerly. Claire smiled. "Of course we can," she said. "This is your story, Noah. You deserve to tell it." The visit to the research center was an unforgettable experience. The scientists were fascinated by the family's account, hanging on every word as Noah described his encounters with Luna and Star. They were particularly intrigued by the egg, which had been safely incubated and was now part of their study. Noah felt a sense of pride as he shared his story, his words painting vivid pictures of the forest and its inhabitants. The scientists praised his courage and curiosity, encouraging him to continue exploring and learning. Before they left, the head researcher handed Noah a small token of appreciation, a framed photograph of the egg, along with a certificate recognizing his contribution to their study. Noah beamed with pride, the recognition a reminder of the impact he had made. As the seasons changed, Noah's memories of the forest remained as vivid as ever. He often found himself staring at the framed photograph on his desk, wondering what had become of Luna and Star. He imagined them thriving in the forest, their herd growing stronger with each passing day. One evening, as he sat by his window, he noticed a faint glow in the distance, a soft, shimmering light that seemed to pulse with life. His heart skipped a beat as he realized what it was. "Mom, Dad, come look," he called, his voice filled with excitement. Claire and David hurried to his side, their eyes widening as they saw the glow. "What is it?" Claire asked, her voice tinged with wonder. "I think it's them," Noah said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Luna and Star. They're saying hello." The family stood in awe, their hearts filled with a sense of connection and wonder. It was a reminder that their bond with the forest and its incredible inhabitants was stronger than distance or time. Noah knew that life would continue to bring new adventures and challenges, but he also knew that the forest, with its ancient secrets and majestic creatures, would always hold a special place in his heart. It was a part of him now, a source of strength and inspiration. As he drifted off to sleep that night, the soft glow of the forest lingering in his mind, Noah whispered a silent promise to Luna and Star. "I'll see you again someday," he said, "and I'll never forget." The stars twinkled above, their light a testament to the enduring magic of the world and the unbreakable bond between a boy and a Triceratops.